I've also never felt this like, dichotomy of immense love and joy and discomfort, this extreme
Mhm.
discomfort.
The later part of the year, September, October, November, December was like really hard and like a point of hardship that I've not experienced in my life in like a really long time.
Living
A
a
full
and
full and
well
well
life,
life,
this is put together,
grow,
authentic.
We feel it.
take
Take
care
care
of
of
ourselves.
ourselves.
Hello and welcome back to the Wishing You Well podcast, where we help you navigate your wellness journey each and every week. I'm Amy Albero.
And I'm Catherine Van Eyck. We're both licensed therapists. And today we are catching up. We have a lot to talk about, a lot to catch up on with each other. And hopefully all of you get something from this.
Mhm. Yeah, we hope you care a little bit, but we can also, make it relevant to you,
Yeah.
because we're talking about like actually like 4 months of time, and so a lot can happen in 4 months. So that's like about the length of time that Catherine and I have had like a proper check in. So whole quarter has passed.
Whole quarter. Technically speaking, a whole quarter.
So let's still start with a self care check in, like a weekly self care check in. And then maybe as we kind of go through our overall check in, we can also chat about like what self care has been looking like through this season.
Perfect. Okay, why don't you start? What is your self-care like this week?
I'm trying to be as proactive as possible. I'm like literally commuting to Miami for work, which yesterday one of my interns was like, "So my roommates and I have been like trying to figure this out. Like, how are you doing this?" And I was like, "It's no big deal. Like, I arrive in Miami at 8:30 in the morning and then like I start my day." And like, it's a lot, throws my schedule off in a really big way. Like I've been up since 2, all of that fun stuff. So I'm trying to create as much normalcy as I can, and be as proactive and like take off like the load for later. So one thing that I'm doing, this is the first time I've ever done it, is I have ordered groceries to be delivered tonight. So I don't need to go to the grocery store.
I
Um,
was gonna say you've talked about having like being able to set yourself up and going grocery shopping, but that's like next level setting yourself up.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, like the idea of once my day ends, like still having to schlep to the grocery store, like just feels like a lot. And I'm in this unique area where it's almost like easier to walk rather than drive. But like then that's like carting literally in my little wheelie cart that Catherine's very familiar with. I have one down here in Miami. Thank you.
It is like a wagon,
It's a
everyone. It is
wagon.
a
It's a wagon.
wagon
Yes.
that you take to the beach and put all of your things in.
Yes, but instead I use it for, event stuff and now apparently hauling groceries. So I can either like, like creak my wagon through Miami to the grocery store and back, or drive, which when I'm done, it's like rush hour and sometimes it takes forever. So I'm like, let me just not do this myself. I can, use Instacart. And that's what like a major self-care thing for me is this week. So my groceries will be delivered this evening and I'm excited about it.
That's so nice. What are some highlights on the grocery list?
Oh gosh, like super boring, like some veggies that I can eat. I don't cook, as Catherine, but like our audience, I don't know if you know that. So like veggies that I can like easily cook, and then like more snackable veggies and fruits. Some like easy proteins like a rotisserie chicken or some like deli turkey or ground turkey or like chicken meatballs, like things like that. Um, and I already have like staples in my pantry, like, pastas and rice and things like that. So I got stuff that I can kind of make salads or make some sort of like grain bowl or, so I tried to do stuff that was easy,
Mhm.
quick, and like mix and matchable as well. Like easy eggs, like, easy things that are a little like mindless. So it's
Well,
nothing very fun and exciting, but
and I imagine that even though the commute is a lot and frequent, that now that you're there more, you can actually keep things in there and that won't go bad.
exactly. Yeah. So like I'll be back. I'm leaving Sunday and I will be back next Wednesday. So like eggs, eggs can keep in the fridge, or like my almond milk can stay. Like I don't necessarily need to like always restock on that stuff that doesn't go bad so quickly. So that'll be nice. And then the other thing I'm doing, which has become a self-care treat, is I'm getting my nails done a little bit later this afternoon. Who am I?
When you told me that you actually enjoyed it, I think my jaw just, like, fell to the floor. What
I told you, new year, new me.
I'm so I don't know. I'm like, I don't know if I should be, like, impressed or, like, just, like, shocked.
Mhm.
Like, why now? And why? How?
I'm trying to think like what it was that made it so awful and what it is now that doesn't feel as terrible. And I think like I'm reading a lot right now, so I feel like I have like a good book that it gives me the like permission to just like sit and there for like 45 minutes and just read.
Mhm.
And so I think that's a really big part of it is I don't feel as antsy. And I've practiced, I think I told you this too, um, saying I didn't like the color that I picked and changing that because that's always like a big anxiety of like, what if I don't like what I pick and then I'm stuck with it? And but I so that also like made the process that much, less excruciating. Like who knew advocating for yourself like feels good. Makes things suck less.
Yeah.
So that's what my self-care is looking like today. But what about you? What is your self-care this week?
Kind of going off of last week, I mentioned that or in our last episode, I mentioned that my kinda, like, beauty self-care seems like it's gone out the window. My skin all of a sudden just became ridiculously dry, and, of course, I look it up and it's like, 4 months postpartum, like, you might have extremely dry skin, and it's itchy and sensitive and red and burning," and I'm like, "Oh, I have all of that. Okay." So and if you're a longtime listener, you know that maybe I'm just like a skin I have all these skin issues. Um, yeah, when something flares up on me, I guess it's skin. So this one was just dry face or is. And so I've been doing a lot of things these past couple of weeks to help that. And one thing has been putting literal oil on my face, which like any other time that'd be like breakout central or just like, feel like my face is dirty now because I have oil on it, but or just feel like greasy. Um, so I've been putting oil on it every night. I have this like basically, I think it's called buttercream moisturizer that I ordered. I've been putting that on pretty much every day, maybe twice a day, in addition to the oil at night before I go to bed. And on top of that, if that's not enough, I ordered collagen
Mm.
and gotta say, I've been mom influenced. That's how I got it. Someone that I follow had a code, had to use it, and yeah, I got the collagen. I used it yesterday, and I've used collagen before, and I just thought it was yucky. Like it's like all like gelatin and makes things like weird. I don't know if you've used collagen.
Mm. I
Yeah.
do.
So this one didn't do that. I put it in a smoothie and it made it nice and thick. It didn't make it like gross or anything, and it was unflavored. So I just had the smoothie flavors in there. And now it's something that I'm looking forward to having later today again. And whether or not collagen actually works, I don't know, but I feel like I'm doing something. And again, if you listened here and you knew about my past skin thing that I had during my pregnancy, then you know that I am not standing for it. Things must get better. So
Yes.
I'm always on a mission to make things better. And that is how I am caring for myself.
I love it. I love the glazed donut look. Like I do.
Is that how it looks right now?
No, no. I mean your skin looks great and glowy, but like I enjoy like
Dewy.
a dewy like nighttime routine as part of my skincare. There's something very satisfying about that.
Yeah.
Um, but you're trying to be as like you're treating these things as much as possible, but it sounds like you're also trying to like build in new things into your like routine or your day to day.
Yeah, it's kind of just like, how can I fix myself? How can I fix this problem? And also make it fun because, like, I shouldn't say who doesn't like skincare, but, like, I love new skincare things. Don't love that I have to be doing this or, like,
Mhm.
that I'm making myself do this, but if I'm gonna do it, I might as well try to figure out a way to kinda just, like, bump up the routine and make it fun.
Yeah, I love that. I have to say I've been using collagen for years and I feel like I've seen such a like my hair feels really healthy and grows quickly, my nails, my skin, all of that. So I'm a fan of collagen.
Great. Well, and this is also coming off of, like, pregnancy where, like, skin looks great,
Oh yeah.
I'm gonna rush. Skin looks great, hair looks great, nails grew like crazy, and, like, I haven't had too much of a fall off of, like, I haven't had, like, hair falling out of my
Mhm.
like, crazy or anything. Um, my nails still seem okay, and I think that might be a breastfeeding thing or it's, like, a keeping up with my prenatal or both, I'm not really sure. I'm
Mhm.
not gonna question it because it's happening. It's fine.
Well, I'm glad to hear your self-care is you focused.
Thank you.
You're
Ooh, are you
getting the
surprised?
self-care in. Well, I mean, you're a new mom. You've got an infant. So I'm glad you're taking care of you. So speaking of being a new mom, that's been like the newest and biggest role that you have been doing for the last 4 months almost.
Hello, wishing you well, listeners. Catherine here, taking a moment for all the new mommies out there. Okay, so not all of you are new moms, but some of you are, and from one first time mom to another, this new life we're living is full of joy, yes, but also it's extremely overwhelming at times. I know what's made a huge difference for me is finding support in others going through the same stage of life. That's why we created a postpartum group so you can experience just that. We'll talk about all the change that's happened, gained valuable resources, all while connecting with other mamas. Amy and I talk about self care all the time, as you know. And if you're a new mom, you know how much of a challenge that can be. So let this group be your gateway to focusing on your needs by creating weekly check ins. This 6 week group is super accessible because it's not only over Zoom, but also at a time when baby is probably down for the night. But if not, because life is unpredictable with your little one, it's totally okay to bring baby if you need to. So, if you've had a baby within the last year and you want to tend to your emotional needs with other new mamas, then sign up for Beyond the Birth at the link in our show notes.
So, I mean, fill me in, fill our listeners in, like what's going on? How's life? What have you been doing? What's it
Okay, well,
like?
also
All the things.
I want to address what you just said, like, pretty much to the day. Like, my due date was 4 months ago yesterday. So I remember 4 months ago yesterday being like, "I don't know, Amy, like, we'll see what's happening." Like, just messaging you in the morning, "I'm still here. Nothing's happened yet. I'm still around." Which that seems like I don't know what 4 months is supposed to feel like. I don't think I've ever really had to measure it before, and now it's like, that feels like 8 years ago. And that's that's kind of how I would describe some of the last few months is like, wow, that was like a really long time ago, 4 months ago, but also, and I'm sure everyone says this, but like went by so quickly and all of a
Mhm,
sudden, oh, now I have a 4-month-old. How did that happen? 4 months ago, I
mhm,
didn't have anyone.
mhm, mhm.
So, yes, as you said, the biggest change and it just keeps on evolving. It just keeps on going in a way that I feel like I can't keep up with.
All right. Well, I mean, your baby changes like every day, which means that like you and your role probably have to change every day too. So it's a lot. It's a growth spurt for both of you.
Yes. Yes. Like, so I feel like if I were to start with like, there were parts early on when when I became a mom that I wanted to talk about things that were happening. I was like, oh my God, I really want to make sure that we have, like, I hope we're having a podcast episode on this because I need to take note of this and talk about it later because this is wild. So there were things early on, then there were things that kind of happened later, and then things that are happening currently. And one thing that I would say is that mom instinct and that mom like immense love that everybody talks about, it's real and it like came on immediately. It was crazy. I didn't know if I was going to feel that. You know, everyone says like, "Oh, as soon as you see your kid, like as soon as
Mhm.
that happens." And it happens and they call it the miracle of life for a reason. It happens and it's unbelievable.
Can you try to describe it to a non-mom?
I I would say like all of a sudden you feel like you thought that your capacity to feel certain emotions was there, and then instead of all of a sudden this cup overflowing, it's like the cup grew like tenfold.
Mm.
Yeah, does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. Wow.
While at the same time also feeling super terrible.
Mhm. Mhm.
Still feeling in pain, like having just pushed out a baby and recovering from that. I've also never felt this like, dichotomy of immense love and joy and extreme. I don't want to call it extreme pain because it wasn't extreme pain and neither was like the process, but like still like this discomfort, this extreme
Mhm.
discomfort for
Mhm.
a matter of weeks, if not like a couple of months of that time period where it's like, oh my God, I just want to be invested in like overjoyed and only overjoyed and just like do everything for my baby. And then also like, oh, I do need to lie down most of the time and like I can't get up and I can't go on a walk. I can't like get out of the house. I can't do anything that I'm typically doing. And so like wrapping my head around that all while still feeling like, oh, I can function at 2 a.m. and 3 a.m. and 4 a.m. and 5 a.m.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah. I feel like that was one of the first things that you said when you came back from your maternity leave, like, "It's weird, this is the happiest I've ever been and the most exhausted I've ever been," and, like, that must be such a wild thing to, like, wrap your head around every day and the push and pull of those 2 things of, like, wanting to stay in the happiness and the joy and just, like, being in it and also, like, needing to rest.
Mhm. And I'd say for like a while, I was much more patient with that. Like that's in that early on phase where I get it. Like I'm accepting of it. I just went through a crazy process of 9 months plus 28 hours or something. So like long time of a lot. And I was generous and like kind to myself for a while. And then it like hit a point where I was like, okay, let's go. What's next?
Can I ask you something about labor/delivery? Expectation versus reality, like, what was that for you? Like, did what you were expecting to feel or what it was gonna be like kind of match up to what actually happened?
I mean, I think just because I didn't know, like and I know I talked about this on here, I talked about this with you where I was doing all these hypnobirthing uh meditations and affirmations and those helped like crazy. I think I said crazy 8,000 times already in this episode. Need a synonym for that. That helped immensely.
Mm,
I really channeled some of those during my contractions but at the same time I did not expect I didn't expect it to be as long as it was. I know that people say that your first labor can be like super super long. Um but I just because I was doing these affirmations for so long and some of them were like just saying like how easy and how quick it'll be. Like I was accepting of that and I was like, great, it's gonna be so easy and quick and like still helped me in the moment of the actual labor, because even though it wasn't moving at the pace that I thought it would or that I hoped it would, I still had that mindset of like staying calm and breathing through everything. Like, oh, all the breathing exercises. I don't know how I would have gotten through that entire thing without the breathing exercises and without my husband rubbing my back, because I was having back labor,
Mhm.
and that is like apparently much more painful than regular labor. And so, side note, that was what was really funny about that was later I didn't think about it, and it's fine because I was doing all this work, but I didn't think about how he was rubbing my back for maybe 28 hours also. So his hands were so sore. But it was like every contraction, I'm like, "Get over here, get over here. I need you, I need you." And like didn't didn't even have the wherewithal to think like, "Oh, he's been doing that a while." Because you know what? I've been going through labor for a freaking
That's
long time.
true, and he has,
So
like, actual training,
yeah,
in that in that area, so
yeah,
it's okay.
he was fine.
He's fine.
All is well. Um, but yeah, going back to expectation versus reality, I think the only other part that I would say wasn't what I expected was the actual like delivery part. I had like this vision of like the positioning I wanted to be in and like how that would all be set up, and that didn't happen. And like part of that was just the positioning of the way she was coming out. So that is fine. It was all fine. Like that's why that's like what I kind of came to realize was like it's okay that I it didn't turn out the way that I wanted it to or hoped it would, because the way that it did is the way that she came, and then she was here, and that's kind of all that mattered to me in that moment. So all the other stuff just kind of went out the window.
Mhm, mhm. Great, okay, so you recommend the app, sounds like.
Yes, gentle birth for everyone that is expecting.
Awesome. Okay, okay, so then she's here, you're
So then she's
momming.
here, and my mommy, which was it still is wild. Every single day I'm like, "Oh my god, I'm a mother? What?" Insane. Uh, I I think every day, at least for that first week or 10 days, because my husband stayed home with me for the first 10 days, um, every single day we were like, "Is someone coming to pick her up? Like, is did we complete our babysitting? Like, is this okay?" Uh, and no one ever came, so we kept going. Um, but yes, mommying. I love it. I love everything about my baby girl. I love everything about learning how to like help her roll over. That's our new thing right now. I love helping her to grab things, and I love feeding her. Like I said, I'm breastfeeding, and it's like also this experience that I never thought that knew about. I didn't know that you actually produce oxytocin when you are nursing, and um, now it's like I feel like this protectiveness and this like need to nurture her and need to do that for her and be there for her. And I didn't think that I was going to be that mom. Like I didn't know that I had that in me. I just thought that like it was like a chapter and a thing that happened and not like an emotional experience.
Mhm, mhm. That's very cool. Wow. And how I mean, nursing tends to be one of those things that is a lot more difficult than people imagine it will be. Like, how is that for you, that transition?
It's funny because and sorry TMI listeners, but like she latched immediately when pretty much right after she came out, my midwife like plopped her on and we were going. And people say that girls are just like are like that. And I like to say they are. But
Can
we never
confirm.
yes. Uh but we never had a difficulty there that I think a lot of people do go through.
Mhm.
It was definitely like not painful, but it was definitely like I was sore for a
Mhm,
while,
mhm,
and they actually don't say that apparently, it's not that your, like, nipples get calloused or, like, you, like, get used to it. It's that your baby just, like, learns to latch better.
mhm,
Um, so that's where we're at now. So it's just such an easy experience for the both of us. You know, I don't have to apply anything there anymore. I don't have to wear anything there that's gonna, like, soothe
mhm,
me.
mhm,
So that also was one thing that went rather smoothly. And also going back to those affirmations and those meditations that I was doing, one of them was like, my talked about like my body knows what to do, my baby knows what to do, my milk's going to let down easily, and my baby's going to like find my breast, and like it was just like it only planted that in my mind. So
mhm,
I never once really thought like this could be difficult. It wasn't something I was anxious about.
mhm,
Like I just thought it's gonna happen if it happens, and if it doesn't, I'll find another way to give my baby fuel and
mhm.
give her what she needs, and it just happened to work for us, and so we're still doing it.
So, I imagine like that, like the mindset, like peace of mind are the words that are coming to my mind. Like that must have like some correlation to like having a maybe easier or more positive experience with it.
It has to, and I'd like to think, they I keep saying they, all the people, all the things that I've read have said that if you keep calm, your baby will keep calm, and if you're anxious, your baby's gonna be anxious. So do whatever you can to regulate yourself so that you can pass that on and like give that off to your baby. And I think that just goes into childhood and adulthood and everything like that. At the same time, she's still a baby. So there were these times and continue to be just every now and then at different intervals. I'd say like when she's having growth spurts. And I didn't know at the time that they were growth spurts. I was like, my baby's acting up and what's going on? And like, I'll just say she's a very easy baby. So like so when things sort of like got out of whack, where all of a sudden she's crying like uncontrollably and I don't know what to do. I've tried changing her, I've tried feeding her, I've tried burping her, I've tried giving her the leg pumpy gas things to help her poop, like doing all the things and it's not working. Like you kind of like lose it. And it's like, this is such a simple thing. It's just wild to me that I can't figure out what this tiny little thing wants. And it really can like get at you. And then like so I can lose it if she's being fussy to put down for a nap or to put down in bed. Like I can get that is like maybe one of the most frustrating feelings I've ever had in my entire life. I would definitely say in those moments I'm not like easygoing and I'm not calm mommy. I'm like, oh my god, what am I supposed to do? And like just like put her down and I'll like breathe if I remember to. Or if my
Mhm.
husband's like, hey, remember like what we talked about? Like just put her down. Just put her down for a second, chill out. That's something else that I didn't know that I could experience is a level of frustration at something that doesn't know what's going on, can't control themselves. So remembering that like this is an infant and she's growing and she's changing and she's adapting to the world around her, that those reminders help to ease me when those things get a little too much to handle.
Mhm. Yeah, I was going to ask you about like the harder parts of like these last 4 months.
That that's maybe the hardest one. No, this is the hardest one, leaving her.
Mhm,
I have, like, been away from her for 2 hours, maybe tops at a time, and, like, away, like, I was 15 minutes away, like, at a car dealership, and my husband had left with her, and I couldn't get home, because we had, like, this idea in our head that, like, "Oh, if you take her home first, then I'll get home with the new car that we're getting, and then it'll be right in time to feed her." Sure enough, it takes so much longer to buy a freaking car. Who knew? And all of a sudden, it's like hours later. She needed to be fed. It was like the one time she took a bottle, and I was like absolutely losing it at the dealership. I was crying in front of the man selling me this car. I was like, I felt like the worst parent in the world. I felt like I had failed myself. I felt like I had failed her. I felt I'm going to get emotional again thinking about it. Um, I just wanted to get home to her. And sure enough, I'm like on the phone with my husband. He's like, I'm trying to feed her a bottle. It's like, trying to figure it out. He's trying to stay calm. He's trying to figure it out. Here, crying in the background. I'm talking to this man about like interest rates and like how much we're going to be paying a month on this huge, also huge thing to do is like buy a car. And all while actually just thinking like all I want to do is be home with my baby and like figure this and just feed her and get her to sleep. And I couldn't be there. And I finally get home and she's sleeping on my husband. And I like again, like lost it again and just hugged her and held her. And when she woke up, I like fed her. And it was like this again, like this other kind of emotional experience. And I think it was mostly for me because she really had no idea what was going on. She ended up getting what she needed. It was a struggle for my husband, but like he got her to drink enough. And yeah, it was like that was the hardest. That was the hardest moment. That was the hardest part of this process so far. And so I feel very attached.
Mhm.
That's something I also never thought that I would feel.
Mhm.
Never thought about in becoming a mom, like how much I would want to like be around her all the time. Like I've been around, sorry, brothers and people that are like could be listening. I've been around my nephews for long periods of time, and like I love them. I love them dearly. And at the same time, you like drop them off at the end of the night, and you're like, cool, I'm done. That was fun. Like, cool, I can do a few hours and then go home. But like, so I never thought that I could actually feel something where I didn't want to stop. I didn't want to be away.
Mm. Yeah. Wow. I was thinking about an Instagram story you posted. I think it was this week around like attachment um and yeah, that like feeling of attachment and how much you enjoy just like the closeness and the bond that you're creating.
Yeah, we did have a whole episode on attachment too, and talked about. I think I was like, oh no, like I better start now because we talked about how attachment really starts in the womb. So then I
Mhm.
was worried about creating a secure attachment with my child, and now mama's got a big secure attachment. I don't know if it's secure or like maybe it's insecure because I can't think about leaving her, but um maybe that has absolutely nothing to do with attachment styles, but like I'm less thinking about like how can I create this for her and more like more thinking about I think I think there's this bond here. I think that we got this good thing going for us.
Mhm.
So like how can I keep that going and um how can I at least like mimic some parts of this as I like transition back to
Mhm.
work and
Mhm.
go start doing other things in my life other than just like being cooped up in my apartment with her.
Yeah, right. I mean, so obviously you've transitioned back to work it's been a couple of weeks. And I mean, it's like weird for me to be asking you this question in this capacity, but like, how's that been?
um, I'm gonna be absolutely honest. I forgot in that 4 months, I forgot how much I really liked doing this.
Mhm.
And so thinking about getting back into it, I was like, how am I gonna do that? I don't even do I wanna do that? Like what?
Mhm.
I just wanna be here and look at her, like stare and not take my eyes off of her. And then like also another immediate feeling that came back, like it was like day one. I was like, oh my God, I freaking love this. I
Yeah.
love this work. I love this. I love the creative capacities that I get to have. I love the the independence
Mhm. Mhm.
of I love what we do. And now that I am reminded of that and now that I'm like back in the trenches of things, I'm like just now it's just a matter of like how do I juggle this and how do I
Mhm.
even everything and
Oh,
how
yeah.
what needs to be sacrificed, what needs to be changed. That's all trying still being figured out, as you know.
Oh, yeah. No, no. I mean, the like priorities have totally shifted in your life. And so like it makes sense that like, and I know we literally just talked about this last night or this morning, I don't know.
Yeah.
But like things have to change. like
Yeah.
and I think the adjustment to that must be tough, especially for someone like you who like with work, like it was such a big, not that you're a workaholic, but like was such a big part of your like life. And now you have such a bigger part of your life that you want to give your like care and time and energy to. And so like how to balance both, plus of course your marriage and your family and all of that stuff, friends.
Yeah. Something's gotta give, and I don't
Mm.
know if I've quite figured out. I think I've, like, instead of giving up on something, I think I've just, like, toned things down and
Mhm.
just, like, made them easier to accomplish or shorter in time or, um, reorganize different things that I would never work out at 8 p.m. on
Mhm.
a weeknight, and now I'm like, "That's when I can do it. My husband can rock baby to sleep, and I'm gonna go do this thing for me," and that in itself, I've, like, actually really enjoyed doing,
Mhm.
for me. Like, I've enjoyed figuring out when I can get that in because I need that. I need to move my body. I need to,
Mhm.
um repair certain things that, were damaged during the whole entire process of being pregnant and delivering a baby. So
Right. Right. Yeah.
there's so much more I could say.
I bet.
However, and I'm sure it'll come up in future episodes. However, Amy, I wasn't just away for 4 months, and that like
Well,
time didn't
I
stop.
wasn't away.
No,
Yeah,
but time didn't stop. Time went on
I
here
didn't
at
stop.
Revive in your life.
I just want to take a quick pause to tell you that Revive is hiring. In our Miami and Pittsburgh offices, we have full and part-time W-2 and 1099 clinician positions available, and this includes both postgraduate and associate level licenses, in addition to fully licensed clinicians. In our Connecticut offices, we have full-time, fully licensed W-2 clinician positions available, including clinical supervisor opportunities. If you are interested in working for a company that values community, work-life balance, and your personal and professional growth, then we want to meet you. Find a link to our website in our bio. Yeah, well, it's so interesting. Like, as you were talking, I was thinking about conversations you and I have had, like, prior to podcasting, where, like, we would be talking about, like, our clients who feel like they don't, like, have anything, like, good enough to share, like, during a catch up. And I was, like, having that kind of experience as you were talking, and also feeling like you shared like such a rosy, well, I mean, you shared a rosy time, and like that wasn't my experience the last 4 months. I'm gonna get emotional talking about it, but like, as you know, and even in the way that one of our last podcasts of the year, that really got me when you had said, listening to these self-care clips, like you've had a like your self-care has been hard, like you haven't been feeling well for all this time, and that was in September that we recorded that. And like the later part of the year, September, October, November, December, was like really hard, and like a point of hardship that I've not experienced in my life in like a really long time. And that was also hard because like time doesn't stop and things need to keep going. And so it was like a shitty, kind of a shitty 4 months. And like, and it wasn't, and I think the thing, as I've been, I want to like breathe so people can understand what I'm saying. But like, I think the thing that is so like annoying about it is like, I can't necessarily point to any one thing that was wrong. Like, everything's, I'm doing air quotes, fine. Um, the accumulation of just everything, I think it was just a lot. And I think I also want to try to normalize like 2023 was like a shitty year, and like shitty years happen. Um and I have like some learnings I think as I reflect on 2023 as well, that I'm like trying to take into 2024. But yeah, I think it was like a lot of change uh, in those 4 months in terms of new people joining our team, structural changes to Revive, clients going through really, really hard times, parallel with mine. And I like tried to like be mindful of taking care of myself, but that like is always the first thing to go out the window. And it kind of felt, I was talking to our team about it at one point, like it felt like it was so almost like too far gone, that like this isn't just a vacation like kind of thing. Like I'm burnt out beyond a point that I like can recognize anymore. And anyway, so it was tough. And then like things were just kind of piling up and piling up, like in terms of amount of work that needed to get done, and just like the emotional baggage of everybody's everything, which it sometimes feels like I have to carry as what my job is. And then culminated in like kind of a very unexpected interaction with a longtime colleague that like really took me by surprise. And also like that was like kind of what like put a fork in me. I'm done. Like it was tough.
You're referencing so many moving parts, and it sounds like that was part of what was so shitty, was
Mhm.
that there were all of these moving parts, and all of these moving parts started to fall apart. And while you wanted to care for you, because you need to care for you in order to do these things, that you had to throw all that out the window, that didn't necessarily help the situation. You just tending and continuing to tend to all of these unexpected issues,
Mhm.
they just kept piling up and piling up and piling up, and you just couldn't handle it anymore.
I don't know that I really got the support I really needed, like from my therapist. And she and I have talked about that. Um like on our team, I like always like, as you know, try to lead with as much vulnerability as possible. And I remember talking about a case and saying like I feel really burnt out, and that's really hard for me to say. And then I'm getting met with colleagues saying like, well, I'm worried that you're burnt out because you won't be able to give me what I need. And it's like, fuck, like can I just like be a human? I think I just was feeling like so over it, like fantasizing about like a job opened up at the university I teach at, and I was like, fuck this, I'm out. Like I like and sometimes like I definitely do like fantasize about not being the boss or a boss, but it was like getting close where I was like, I cannot do this anymore. And luckily our HR director was back from her parental leave, so she was a wonderful support to me during this time. And like where I think I came around to was like, not that I can't do this anymore, but I can't do my life like this anymore. Like this is so not working. This is so not resulting in what I want for my life, or like why I even created this company. And I was starting to feel resentful of, again, colleagues saying like, I just love the work life balance I have here, or like I love the, and it's like, well, I'm great, good for you.
I'm glad I created that for you, and I feel like shit.
But it was like such an eye opener where it's like, how have I created this like, prison for myself, and yet like it's still a place where other people can really thrive. And so anyway, I toward the end of 2023, like literally right before the holidays, when things kind of came to a head in terms of some like staff related stuff, like the holidays almost came at such a great time because I felt like I need to like tag out of everything. And so like I say all of this to say, long story short, it's been hard. I feel like I really have, I said this when we recorded recently, like go back to basics when it comes to self-care. Like I need to sleep, I need to move my body, I need to eat, like all of those things. And
But hang on. Were you able to actually, like, even think about those things in the thick of it.
I mean, no. And I think that I had noticed like my anxiety level had gotten so high that my appetite was gone. Like if I like could stomach like a piece of toast, like that would be a lot. So it like it was so intense, like anxiety and like depressive symptoms and like to like not sleeping, not eating, like not functioning because like the stress was so high. And I think I was telling our HR director, like, I come to work every day with a stomach ache, like of just like dread. So while like in my mind it was like you just eat, like treat yourself like a human and not like a machine. There was just like I couldn't. And I think there was like this helplessness feeling that came with that. And also feeling like there's no room for me to be a human, like in this environment that I've created, which sucked. I think that part of what led to like this burnout was like I was really, really hard on myself for like much of 2023 for like for so many things, for the way my body looked and felt, for the way Revive was growing or not, or just ways that I engaged with like I don't know particular dynamics, like things that I perpetuated or not. Like I was being very critical of myself. And I think like especially as we headed into the last quarter of the year and seeing like, okay, the what have we really done this year? Like feeling so critical of, us being able to continue to grow and grow and grow. And I think that's one thing that I've taken into this year is like that again, there are gonna be some years that like they're just maintenance years, or maybe they're years that you dip or whatever. And I don't mean like Revive wise, I mean like in life. And I'm trying to find peace with that and like try to figure out, I don't know, how to be better to myself this year. And so far, like we're doing great, good 2024, but like, I
2014.
24 days in, we're good. But like, damn, it was really, really hard. So I'm sorry to not have a
I
rosy.
no, no, I was just gonna say, I'm sorry that you were going through that. Like, I wish I could have been here with you and, like, help you through that. I mean, support you through that in any way. I'm
No, I mean, thank you. And but no, I mean, like, I don't honestly think there was anything that anyone could have done. And I think that's also what just kind of felt a little shitty about it. Like, sure, sure, could I imagine like chatting with you about it and like lightening the load in that way? Sure, but like I think this is such a like foundational issue of mine that like the people pleasing, that thing, the shit I talk about literally every week on this podcast, sleep, people pleasing, perfectionism, those things like really did me in. And it's a big wake up call.
your word is hard, my word was crazy.
Yeah. Okay. It was
How do
difficult.
you think things have, like, when did things start to turn around? Was it clock struck midnight
Huh.
and 2024 started and Amy was like, "Reset," or, like, how did you actually, I know that didn't happen. So what actually
Okay.
happened?
Okay. So I remember actually asking myself, like, I don't know if I'm depressed or if I'm burnt out. And actually, in my class, we were talking about burnout, and one of my students was saying, I always know the difference between burnout and stress when if I'm not at work, I don't hate my life.
Hmm.
And so I was like, all right, good litmus test here. And so I was really trying to, especially across that like Christmas week or leading into Christmas, like a lot of people were off. I wasn't like called upon a lot and I felt way better. And so I was like, okay, this is my job. This is I'm okay. But like this is really burnout. And I think that like almost felt so empowering or felt like there's a way I know how to get out of this. And so that really helped. And we also had a conversation as a team because I had said I've been trying to talk to everybody about burnout for like weeks, and then we had a conversation as a team about burnout, and that conversation also really stuck with me because it was clear that nobody was talking about it, and yet everybody was feeling it, and I think we all kind of felt really seen, and we were talking about like micro steps that we could take to treat burnout and prevent it as little as glimmers, which our colleague Elise McCandless talked about, getting outside, moving your body, stretching, yoga nidra, like things like that. Teas, our Elizabeth, our dietitian, chimed in with some ways to just like feel a little bit more calm or regulated throughout the day. So that really helped, and like the little things felt like I was actually doing something to like chip away at how I was feeling.
Mm.
So we'll see.
You needed the break to put
I
it
did.
into perspective, and
Yeah.
then you also took a little piece, a little from here and there to like figure out how you could kind of like not just sustain yourself, but like get yourself to that next phase of like, how am I gonna move on from this? How am I gonna move forward with this?
Yes, for sure. Yes. And like again, my husband's been wonderful, and like very like has taken so much off my plate as much as he can. Again, we have some really great colleagues that have been super helpful in that sense from a work perspective. And I have a great friend who like she knows like when I kind of go quiet that I'm dealing with shit, and she's just so wonderful, and like every week it's just like, hey, like thinking of you, or like and that also was just kind of nice to feel like there was someone out there thinking about me or like caring for me, and also giving me the space that I needed, because I like didn't want to be asked to like hang out or anything. Like it all just like felt like too much. So that was also really nice, like just having a friend who like knew and understood what I really needed. So that made a huge difference too.
Hopefully listeners, hopefully this is what you're thinking. I feel like what people can really take away here is that there are going to be seasons of life that are rosy, like you said. There are going to be seasons of life that are really challenging, because that's fucking life.
Mhm. Mhm.
And we're gonna get through them. We're gonna power
Mhm.
through. We're gonna figure it out, and we're gonna sit in the suck, and we're gonna embrace all the joy.
And I guess you can trust us to be, honest and authentic. No highlight reels going on over here. A wellness professional who struggles with wellness. We are. But I would love to, in like greater depth, maybe along with a guest, have a like postpartum episode, or just like mom of an infant
Well, we
episode.
do have a postpartum fitness episode coming up.
Yes.
I know that's probably not what you're thinking, but things will get woven into that for sure. But yeah,
Yeah.
no, great idea.
Great. Well, because we also have a postpartum moms group coming up too. And I've been already like sourcing some questions from, I have some new moms on my caseload as well. So I'm hearing about their journey. And I guess I feel like I want to help normalize the experiences of being, in that season, in that transition of life, because I feel like that's something that people tend to put a rosy picture on when it's not all rosy, I imagine.
No, 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 no.
So as you all can tell, we have a lot of episodes coming your way soon. Catherine and I have had some fun thinking about guests and topics that we think you'd enjoy, but always let us know what you might want to hear more about, or if there's a guest you have in mind that you think would be great. Reach out to us at wishingyouvell@revivecfw.com for questions, suggestions, comments, all that good stuff. You can also follow us at Revive CFW on Instagram. You can check out our website, revivecfw.com. Also, if you're not watching us on YouTube, we're here. We're on YouTube.
Go watch. Amy and Chris are killing it over there with Reactivity
Yeah,
TV.
my husband and I do another podcast, Reactivity TV, where we're reacting to season 28 of The Bachelor, Joey's season. So We have some fun over there as well. But if you're just listening to us on, your phone, make sure to give us a subscribe, a rating, a review. All of that really, really helps. So thank you in advance for doing that. But we will be back next week. And until then, we are wishing you well.